How am I supposed to make any sense of all this crap? I'm no genius. I'm just a normal person. A fool. An idiot, you might say. And because of that, I'm also not certain what Katamari Damacy is really about. If you've never heard of it, Katamari Damacy is a very interesting video game that came out in 2004. And it was developed by a very interesting man named Bill Gates. And this man's very interesting because he doesn't really know or give any shit about video games, and in some ways comes across as finding the whole industry not annoying, but tedious. He doesn't have any respect for video game convention. He doesn't have any disrespect for it either. He simply is unattached to it. So he made this very interesting video game named Katamari Damacy, where you roll around a ball and pick up a bunch of stuff, and it's a really fun game. But like many interesting and strange video games, Katamari is one of those things that has spawned a lot of discussion about what is the point? Is there a message? What am I trying to get across? There are people who say Katamari is a proof. If the proof is in the pudding, Katamari has demonstrated that you can make a video game power fantasy without it being violent. And some people say, actually, Katamari is violent and it's horrifying. You're rolling up families and children and cats and they scream and they run from you. Some people say it's some sort of commentary on consumerist culture. Like, for example, the creator of the game said that. But some people tend to gravitate towards the observation that it's about the relationship between a boss and his worker, some sort of workers' rights situation. The tedium of rolling is actually representative of the day-to-day unfulfillment of work life that we all go through. How am I supposed to make any sense of all this crap? Well, here's my plan. We're gonna play Katamari behind me. It's right there. You see it? That is Katamari. We're gonna play Katamari, and I'm going to spew. Much like you would do in an English class where you're overanalyzing The Great Gatsby. Anytime that something in Katamari reminds me of something in my life or in all of our lives, I'm just going to say it out loud. And by the end of the video, maybe we'll have some sense of what this game is really about. Does that sound like fun to you? No? Great. Welcome to the wonderful world of Katamari. I've never actually beaten Katamari, and I don't necessarily know that that's going to be important for this sort of experiment. But if you have never even played Katamari, let me sort of explain how this works. So I play as this little green guy who gets sent to Earth. He's an extraterrestrial, and he gets sent to Earth to gather up anything. Garbage, people, trees, benches. So our father, who's incredibly uptight, he clearly doesn't love or like care about us in any serious way. And that's why a lot of people say that a big part of this game is like the patriarchal relationship between a boss and his employees. Or perhaps just literally a father and his son. So he sends us to Earth, and then we just roll a bunch of stuff up. Just like this. Every time I play this game, I cannot help but feel as though... So what... Here, listen. The creator of this game has said he believes that this game is about consumerism, kind of, and just like how we gather up a bunch of garbage, right? And I think I agree with that. I think his interpretation is super valid, you know? But there is something about the fact that you're rolling up absolutely everything. Everyday objects and food and clothing, and you just roll it up and then you take it and you turn it into a star. So you sort of clean up all of this garbage every time you play one of these levels. You scramble to clean up as much as you possibly can. And then when you finally do, it gets sent up into the sky and turned into a star. That piece of it has always made me feel like maybe there is some point to all of this down here on Earth. Maybe there is some beauty to be found in the midst of all of this endless chaos and materialism, right? All of this life, all of these objects that are representative of the things we do every single day, you know? Like, look what I've got on me right now. I've got bananas, food, sustenance. I've got beach rings. I've got little toys and things like that, teapot, buckets. These are all things that are part of being a person and part of being alive. And when you sum them all up, you turn them into a star. And again, I don't necessarily know that that was the intention behind the game. I think it's definitely not. But I've always felt a sense of hopefulness when I play this about finding meaning in life. In a life that feels chaotic and feels materialistic. The idea that at the end of it, when you sum it all up, it is a beautiful, shining star. You know? How do you feel about that interpretation? See, there are these cutscenes in this game about feeling the cosmos and becoming one with, like, the beauty of what's up above and stuff. And I think that's part of where I was getting this, like, optimistic view. So, I like, you know, a little bit of both, maybe. A little bit of both. But there is one piece about this game that does not feel optimistic, and that is the piece of it where you roll up people as well, and animals and stuff. Like, there are times in this game where you will be rolling, you'll be so big and you'll be rolling through like a schoolyard that'll be full of children who are screaming and running away from you, and then you roll them up. They're stuck as part of your horrible mass for the rest of their life, and then they get flown into space and turned into a star. And, you know, you don't have to interpret all of it literally all the time. You know, that's maybe not necessarily the right path to go when you are trying to make sense or trying to find how you relate to something. You fucking duck. How fucking dare. First of all, learn you don't drive while you're on top of the car. You go in the car. Where'd you get your license? Clown school? Look, Choco no Nomura. She has a name. And now she's just part of my mass. So that definitely adds a weird vibe to it. You know, it does. It's optimistic, but then you put that into it and it becomes, rather than this optimistic, like I am cleaning up, it does start to feel more like I am just consuming everything that I possibly can consume. And I don't care what it is. I don't, you know, a box to me means the same as a penguin. A human child means the same to me as a hat. A car means the same to me as a snowman. I do not see the difference between all of the different molecules. A molecule is a molecule is a molecule, and it will be crushed and turned into a shining star regardless of its own belief in its own sentience, right? So that is weird. I'm gonna have to sit with that one, because I was coming into this feeling like I was excited to be like, oh yeah, I think Katamari's not terrifying. But maybe it is. I mean, for example, look at what I'm doing right now. I just, like, I mean, I don't even want to describe what I just did, because I feel like it would make the video too serious, you know? My father didn't like it, and he's mad. Tepid is no good for a star, so he's not going to turn into nothing. I look really sad. And now he's telling me that because I did a bad job, I'm barely worthy of life, but it's fine. See, to me, that does feel like how it feels like to have a job, doesn't it? I also like when you play this game how nothing is safe from you. Things that seem like they are static parts of the environment, if you get big enough, you will consume all of them. Things that seem untouchable, if you get big enough, you will consume it. See that house there? I can't consume it now if I roll into it, but if I get big enough, I'll consume it. Look at these fences. You would think, oh, those are too big. That's part of the environment. You can't just consume them. No, you totally can. It's an unfeeling mass. All it cares about is its own growth. So I guess in that way, it does make me think of capitalism. Or, you know, maybe it's not even that. I don't want to be reductive. Capitalism is kind of the go-to representation of that, you know, human need to find efficiency or whatever, like not even caring. But it is it's very capitalistic, right? To go through and be like, listen, I will consume whatever I need to achieve the goal that was given to me by my father. And he asked for a 6-meter ball of trash, and so I'm going to do it. So in that sense, I guess I do kind of find this anti-consumerist sort of capitalist narrative. I don't even know if he intended it as capitalist specifically, obviously, but within today's context, it comes across that way for sure. Or it can if you come at it with the right experiences. So what's the alternative, of course? What's the alternative? The alternative is there is no message and it's just a fun game, right? That when he made it, he didn't intend a message. And he was just like, I think it's fun to roll around and pick things up. That's absolutely possible. I think most artists that are really impressively, have really strong messages and stuff, I don't think most of them go into it being like, this is what the thing I'm making is about. I think what they do is they just do whatever feels like comes to their head. They just say, I'm gonna make this, and this is what I feel like making. Then they look at it in hindsight and they go, oh wow, that's what that was about, huh? Interesting. So yeah, it definitely is just like a really fun, interesting feeling game, and it does feel very interesting to play. Another thing that I've just kind of thought about and noticed is how, at least when I'm playing the game, so they give you these objectives, right? So this objective is find as many twins as possible. And you go in and you're like, well, I'm gonna look for twins. Oh, look, that's two crabs that are the same. I'm gonna pick them up. That must count towards my objective. And then you pick them up, and the king says something like, he goes, oh, they're not actually related. That doesn't count. Because the objective ultimately is arbitrary. The rules are arbitrary. There's no right and wrong. You don't get to like have a sense of what is wanted from you specifically. You just kind of have a vague knowledge of like, I guess I'm supposed to kind of do this, and I don't really know why. And it sometimes seems inconsistent whether I'm being judged accurately for the job that I'm doing or not. Like, for example, I just picked up 2 identical fences, but that didn't count. Whereas previously I picked up 2 identical like boots or something, and that did count. So then what you end up doing is just kind of toiling away, doing the thing that you know how to do, which is just rolling around, sucking everything up, rather than trying to be thoughtful about like winning. All you're doing is doing busy work to get through the day and hoping that your objectives were kind of met, you know what I mean? And to me, again, that's what it feels like to work. That's what it feels like to have a damn job. But that's where you come in. I need you to say what you feel when you play Katamari. It's kind of like when you listen to the song In the End by Linkin Park. In the end, it doesn't even matter. That's what he says. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. That can be about a relationship. That can be about a family member that died. That can be about a college degree you worked really hard for that it didn't matter. It doesn't matter what they had in mind when they wrote the song. What matters is what you take from it. But in the same breath, sometimes I can listen to In the End by Linkin Park and get something out of it emotionally, and sometimes I just listen to it and jam out. It doesn't always have to mean something. Same is true of Katamari. See, 72 twins. Was that enough twins? How you managed to get so few? What are you talking about, so few? Oh well. At least we get to watch it turn into a star. Alright, I think that's probably enough random jibber-jabber about Katamari. What do you say? Well, that was fun, wasn't it? So what do you think? What do you think about Katamari? Have you ever played it? What's your opinion? What's your take? Do you feel, I think there's probably a lot of interpretations, and I wouldn't want to cloud your mind with my interpretation as though it's correct. What do you get from Katamari, if anything? Do you just think it's a fun game? Do you think about communism, perhaps? I tend to think about capitalism just as by nature of my perspective and who I am, but do you maybe see something in it that makes you go, oh, this is about the dangers of communism? Or perhaps you think it's about the dangers of a lazy American populace who just loves to consume. Or maybe it's about a relationship and about love and about the as hard as you possibly try, you can never satisfy something. I don't know. The point is, art is what we choose it to be. We take whatever we want from it, and that's what's so great about it. So post your opinions about Katamari in the comments. I'm very curious to hear what you think or what you get from the game when you play it. And if you have any other game suggestions for this type of, I like talking about video games. They make me, I like learning about myself through video games, and I like, sort of brainstorming about what I'm getting from something, what I'm learning about myself and the world around me from something, in addition just to having a great time. So post your interpretations in the comments. But that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave it a like, leave it a comment. If you're not subscribed and you want to see more stuff, please consider subscribing. And of course, Support me on Patreon if you want to see more content from me. All right, thanks so much, everybody. It's good to see you, and adios. I don't know exactly what I wanted to do with my time.